with us on this Wednesday edition of Ed Schultz News and Commentary from Florida. Moving around the country quite a bit, no question about it, and there's a lot going on. First of all, the endorsement by Sherrod Brown to Hillary Clinton continues to have an impact. Here's how it all unfolded, and I think that the Clinton campaign is clearly aware of the momentum that Bernie Sanders has had, and the impact he's had. And let me just give you the numbers. If you take anybody in the United States Senate, and if they were to get 400,000 people showing up town hall meetings, if they were to get 750,000 donors, if they were to get over 2 million people on websites tracking what they're doing daily, they'd be pretty excited. In fact, if their opponent was doing that, they'd be pretty nervous. And I think this is a very interesting rollout by the Clinton campaign, and the timing is so interesting. It was just a couple of days ago that Bernie Sanders was in New York, the focal point of a protest for the CWA workers who have been trying to get a contract with Verizon. Verizon has been a heavy-handed company all along. They can't get a deal. They've been intimidating workers in the workplace who have been talking about organizing. So who's out there with them? Bernie Sanders. The very next day, the Clinton campaign rolls out one of the most progressive senators in the United States Senate, and that is Sherrod Brown. Don't tell me there's not a connection there. The Clinton campaign is concerned about Bernie Sanders' momentum. And they also know that they've had to shift because Sanders is in this race. We've seen a shift on trade. We've seen a shift on the Keystone XL pipeline. We're getting more talk out of the Clintons when it comes to Wall Street. The question is, can you believe them? Is Hillary Clinton going to be a Wall Street Democrat, or is she really going to push for change? I mean, every Democratic candidate out there is talking about jobs in the middle class, jobs and wages, and they're all going to come up with proposals for social change. There's no question about that. But where do you stand on putting the heat on the people to make sure that these policies go through? And the classic example is trade. Right now, we are fighting the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And now that Hillary Clinton has got a guy like Sherrod Brown who goes to his hometown of Lorain, Ohio, and sees how all these jobs have been gutted because of a lousy trade deal, isn't it time for Hillary to start picking up the phone and start working these endorsements in the Senate to kill this deal? The majority of Democrats in the House, the majority of Democrats in the Senate are against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. This is the next big thing. So this is a test. We're going to have a lot of primaries. We're going to have a lot of caucuses when this deal unfolds in the first of the year. This is Bernie Sanders responding to where he's been on trade all along.
I have, from almost day one in the Congress, known that our trade policies have been a disaster for American workers. We have lost millions of decent-paying jobs.
But the subtext is that Hillary Clinton hasn't picked up that fight where you have.
Well, let me just say this. Let me put it in this way. I am delighted that in the last couple of months, Hillary Clinton has come on board positions that I have held for many, many years on trade, on the Keystone pipeline. If you're serious about climate change, you never support the transportation of some of the dirtiest fuel on Earth. So I'm glad that Hillary Clinton is moving in my direction.
Well, not only moving in a more progressive direction, but now has to be activated in killing the deal. Making sure Keystone doesn't get built. Make sure that the trade deal is deep sixed. And the only body right now, elected body on the face of the earth that can save the Trans-Pacific Partnership is the United States Congress. So if I know Bernie Sanders is working against it, all Democrats ought to be working against it. Sherrod Brown, who gave the endorsement yesterday, says there's not much difference between the two candidates.
But I know that both Bernie and Hillary have been what they're talking about, trade agreements, what they're talking about Wall Street reform, what they're talking about minimum wage, building and creating jobs and increasing wages. It's mainstream America, not mainstream Democrats. It's mainstream America. 70-80% of Americans think that Congress should concentrate on creating jobs, think that Congress should concentrate on increasing wages, paying, as this Labor Department is doing now in the Obama administration, making sure supervisory people making $30,000, $40,000 a year should be eligible for overtime. All those issues are such a part of mainstream Democratic politics and, frankly, mainstream America. And I don't see that much difference between the two of them, regardless of what Bernie has called himself over the years or what Hillary's called herself. I think they both speak to the great American tradition of solid democratic policies of creating a middle class and lifting up working people.
Okay, everybody gets that on the Democratic Party. We got to lift people up. We got to help the middle class. We got to increase wages. Do we understand, folks? If the Trans-Pacific Partnership goes through, all of those things are going to be undercut. So this is now a function of killing this deal. And you're going to have to wear two hats. You're going to have to run for president. You're going to have to kill the deal. You're going to have to use your clout to get it done. That's the assurance that I hope Sherrod Brown has gotten from Hillary Clinton, because I know that's where Bernie Sanders is. Bob Shrum had some interesting insights about why Sherrod Brown may have gone with Hillary Clinton and the impact that it's having.
Well, it's kind of the capstone of several weeks that have gone very well for her. The debate, the Benghazi committee, Senator Biden choosing not to run, the Iowa Jefferson-Jackson Day dinner, where she held her own, and where we now are seeing polls showing her lengthening her lead. I think Senator Brown is quite pleased that she's taken some of the positions she has, for example, on trade and on Wall Street reform. And I suspect he also believes she is going to be the nominee, and so he endorsed her.
So he suspects that she's going to be the nominee. I think there's a lot of that going on in the party. I really do.